My name is Emily Carter. I'm 28 years old, and I live in Dallas, Texas. For 4 years, I believed that working hard and being honest was enough to grow in life. I was wrong. Sometimes, life teaches you in the worst possible way that not everyone plays fair. From one moment to the next, I went from exemplary employee to criminal. But I knew the truth, and I swear, nobody imagined what I was going to do. Welcome to Revenge Cat. We reveal gripping stories of broken trust, family secrets, and shocking twists. If you crave powerful narratives, intense emotions, and the sweet taste of justice, this is your place. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a thing. My routine at Morrison Logistics was predictable and comfortable. I arrived every day at 8 a.m. sharp, coffee on the table, organized spreadsheets, reports always delivered on time. For years at this company, for years of total dedication, I shared a small apartment with my childhood best friend, Jessica, and dreamed of a promotion that was almost within my reach. My boss, Mr. Davidson, always praised my work. Performance evaluations, always excellent. I came from a simple family. My parents worked their whole lives to give me an education, and I wanted to pay that back. Every penny I saved had a purpose. Help at home, save for my promotion, build a better future. My biggest weakness was always trusting people too much. Especially my coworkers. I really believed we were a team. But on a Tuesday in October, everything changed. It was 9:15 a.m. when Sandra from HR appeared at my desk with an expression I had never seen before. "Emily, I need you to come with me." Now, her tone gave me chills. This wasn't casual conversation. It was serious. Very serious. I walked to the conference room with my heart racing. Inside, beside Sandra, there was Mr. Davidson and a man I didn't know. Expensive suit. Leather briefcase, lawyer-like appearance. "Emily, please, sit down," said Sandra, avoiding eye contact. "What's happening?" I asked, feeling a chill in my stomach. Mr. Davidson cleared his throat and looked me directly in the eyes. "We've discovered suspicious movements in the company's accounting. Embezzlements totaling more than $45,000 in the last 6 months. The world stopped. Literally stopped. I don't understand what this has to do with me," I murmured, confused. The man in the suit leaned forward. "The evidence points to you, Miss Carter. All accesses were made with your login. Documents signed with your digital password. Transfers authorized by your account." My blood ran cold. "That's impossible. I would never." "Emily," Sandra interrupted, "we know this is difficult, but we need to be transparent. The internal audit found your name on all the suspicious transactions." I felt like they were talking about someone else. Like it was a bad movie where I had been placed by mistake. "You're crazy. I've worked here for 4 years. Why would I steal from the company that gave me opportunities?" Mr. Davidson sighed heavily. "Emily, you are officially suspended until the investigations are concluded. Please, take your personal belongings and turn in your badge." Tears began to well up in my eyes. Not from sadness, from pure indignation. "You're making a terrible mistake," I said, getting up from the chair with trembling legs. But they had already decided. In their minds, I was guilty. Walking out of that company was the most humiliating walk of my life. All my colleagues were looking at me. Whispers, suspicious glances. Some pretended to be busy, others didn't even disguise their curiosity. Mark Stevens, my sector colleague for 2 years, approached me when I was collecting my things. "Emily, I can't believe this. It must be some misunderstanding," he said, putting his hand on my shoulder. "It is, Mark. It's a terrible misunderstanding," I replied, wiping away tears. "Everything will be okay. The truth always comes out," he consoled me with a smile that seemed sincere. If I had known what he was really thinking at that moment. Jessica was waiting for me in the parking lot. She had left work as soon as she received my desperate call. What happened?" she asked, hugging me tight. I told her everything in the car. Every detail of the meeting, every accusation, every judgmental look. Jessica listened in silence, holding my hand. "This is absurd. You're the most honest person I know." "They'll discover the mistake," she said, but I could see the concern in her eyes. The following days were hell. The news spread quickly. In a city like Dallas, the job market is small. Everyone knows everyone. My phone wouldn't stop ringing. Concerned colleagues who actually just wanted to know details. Some supported me. Others clearly doubted my innocence. The worst was the call from my parents. "Honey, what's happening?" "The neighbor said she saw you on local television," said my mother, with a tearful voice. Local television. My God. Morrison Logistics had leaked the story to the press. "Mom, I didn't do anything." "It's all lies," I explained, trying to stay calm. "Of course you didn't, dear, but ... My father hesitated. "Are you sure you didn't sign anything without realizing?" Sometimes these companies, even my parents were questioning. That destroyed me inside. 2 weeks of suspension turned into a month. No news from the company. No explanation. No apology. My bank account was drying up. Without salary, with bills to pay and a destroyed reputation, I was getting desperate. It was during a sleepless night that something bothered me. Something that didn't make sense. Why did all the evidence point perfectly to me? How did someone get access to my login and password? And why did the embezzlements start exactly 6 months ago? I began to mentally review the last few months. Who had access to my computer? Who stayed late at the office? Who knew my routine better than anyone? Mark Stevens. He always arrived early and left late. He said he was dedicated to the company's growth. Several times I saw him at my desk when I came back from the bathroom or lunch, messing with the computer. "I was just checking if you received my email," he always said with that smile. And it was at that moment that I realized, I was being used as a scapegoat. But suspecting was one thing. Proving was completely different. I took my last savings, $3,200 that I had saved for emergencies, and looked for a private detective. It wasn't money I could spend, but it was my only chance. Robert Chen was a former police officer who had opened his own investigation agency. Small office, but solid reputation. "Miss Carter, I'll be honest with you," he said after hearing the whole story. "This type of corporate investigation is complex and expensive. But if you're really innocent, something doesn't add up in these evidences. I'll pay whatever it takes. Mr. Chen, I need my life back." I hired his services for $2,000. It was almost everything I had, but there was no choice. Robert began investigating Mark Stevens' financial history, work behavior, personal relationships. What he discovered shocked me. 10 days later, Robert called me. "Emily, I need to show you some things. Can you come to my office?" I got there in 15 minutes. Heart beating irregularly. "First, your colleague Mark Stevens has serious financial problems," he began, opening a folder full of documents. My mouth went dry. "Second, his wife, Rebecca Stevens, opened 3 different bank accounts in the last 6 months. Coincidence? I don't think so." Robert placed bank statements on the table. Screaming numbers, regular deposits of amounts that matched exactly with the supposed embezzlements from Morrison Logistics. "But the best part," he continued, with a satisfied smile, "are the security cameras." "What do you mean?" "I got access to the commercial building's recordings. Your friend Mark had a habit of returning to the office on weekends, specifically to your desk." He showed me the images on his laptop. There was Mark, clear as day, using my computer when I wasn't there. Several different dates. Always on weekends or after hours. I felt a mixture of relief and anger that almost made me dizzy. There's more, Robert said, pulling out another document. Mark used a keylogger on your computer to capture your passwords. Then he deleted the evidence. But he left traces on the server that the company's IT didn't investigate thoroughly. The truth was there, in front of me, irrefutable. Mr. Chen, how can I use this information? Well, you have two options, he replied, leaning back in his chair. You can take all of this to the police and the company immediately, or ... Or you can make him confess publicly. The choice is yours. The real culprit had no idea that I already had everything in my hands. I spent 3 days planning every detail. I didn't just want to clear my name. I wanted justice. I wanted Mark to feel the same humiliation he caused me. I called Sandra from HR. Sandra, this is Emily. I need to talk to you. I've discovered important information about the case. Emily, you shouldn't be calling to. Sandra, I interrupted. I know who really stole the money. And I have proof. Silence on the other end of the line. Can we schedule a meeting for tomorrow? She asked, curious. Actually, I'd like it to be on Friday, at the monthly meeting with the whole team. It will be ... enlightening. She hesitated, but agreed. During those days, Mark called me several times, worried about my situation, always supportive, always offering help. The hypocrisy made me sick. How are you? He asked in one of those calls. Destroyed, Mark. My life is over, I replied, feigning despair. Don't say that. This will be resolved soon. The truth always comes out, he said, and I almost laughed at the irony. You're right, Mark. The truth always comes out. If he only knew what was coming. Friday, November 14th. Morrison Logistics conference room. The whole team present. Directors, managers, administrative staff. It was the monthly meeting where we discussed results and projects. I was in the back of the room, nervous but determined. Robert Chen was outside, waiting for my signal. Mr. Davidson opened the meeting talking about the quarter's numbers. Then he passed the word to Sandra, who mentioned compliance issues without going into details. That's when Mark asked to speak. Mr. Davidson, if I may, I'd like to address a delicate matter, he said, standing up solemnly. My heart accelerated. He was going to attack me in front of everyone. We all know about Emily Carter's situation, Mark continued, looking at me with an expression of false sadness. It's a regrettable situation, but necessary. The company cannot tolerate this type of behavior. Murmurs throughout the room. Some looked at me with pity, others with suspicion. Trust is the foundation of any organization, Mark continued, gaining confidence. And when someone violates that trust, stealing from the company that gave them opportunities, it affects all of us. He was destroying me publicly. It was now or never. I stood up from my chair. Mark, you're right about one thing, I said, with a firm voice. Trust is indeed the foundation of any organization. He looked at me surprised. He didn't expect me to respond. Emily, I think it's better if you don't ... Sandra started to say. Let her speak, interrupted Mr. Davidson, curious. I signaled to Robert, who entered the room carrying a folder and a laptop. Mark, you talked about stealing from the company that gave us opportunities, I continued, walking forward. You're right, it's unforgivable when someone does that. Confusion in the room. Mark was pale. That's why I'm here today, to show who really stole $45,267 from Morrison Logistics in the last 6 months. The silence was deafening. Robert opened the laptop and projected onto the meeting room screen. First evidence, I announced. Bank statements from Rebecca Stevens' accounts, Mark Stevens' wife. Regular deposits that coincide exactly with the dates of the supposed embezzlements. Gasps throughout the room. Mark was petrified. Second evidence. Security cameras showing Mark Stevens in the office during weekends, specifically using my computer. The images rolled on the screen. Mark at my desk, typing, transferring files. Date and time visible. Third evidence. Technical report showing that a keylogger was installed on my computer to capture passwords and login information. Mark finally reacted. This. This is absurd. Emily, you're making all this up to get yourself off the hook. Mark, said Mr. Davidson, with a grave voice, can you explain these images? I was helping Emily with reports. Sometimes she got overwhelmed. Then why is there no official record of these reports? I asked, pulling out more documents. And why did your wife deposit exactly $7,500 into her account on the same day this amount disappeared from the company? The room was in total shock. Directors whispering, employees incredulous. Mark tried one last card. Emily hired a detective. She's forging evidence. This is a setup. Robert stood up. Mr. Stevens, I'm Robert Chen, licensed investigator. All this evidence was collected legally and can be verified by any forensic expert. In fact, it already has been. He placed a final document on the table. Report from the Dallas Financial Crimes Department. The authorities have already been notified. Mark collapsed in his chair, covering his face with his hands. I needed the money. My debts. Rebecca was pregnant. I didn't know what to do. Complete confession. In front of everyone. Mr. Davidson stood up, furious. Mark Stevens, you are immediately fired. Security, escort this man out of the building. I turned to the entire room. For 2 months, you treated me like a criminal. Some of you doubted me. Others judged me without knowing the facts. But the truth always comes out, doesn't it? Sandra approached me, with tears in her eyes. Emily, we apologize. You were right all along. Sandra, I replied, looking directly at her. I don't want apologies. I want my immediate reinstatement, my salary losses compensated, and a promotion as compensation for the injustice I suffered. Mr. Davidson nodded vigorously. You'll have all that, Emily, and much more. Mark was criminally prosecuted and sentenced to 3 years in prison. Additionally, he had to fully reimburse the stolen amount, with fines and interest. I not only returned to Morrison Logistics, but was promoted to administrative manager, with a 40% salary increase. Mr. Davidson even offered me profit sharing in the company. More important than that, my reputation was completely cleared. The company made sure to publicly disclose my innocence, and the local media covered the entire story of my professional revenge. Jessica couldn't stop talking about it. You were incredible. Mark's face when the evidence appeared on the screen. It was satisfying, I admitted, but also sad. He had a life, a family. He threw it all away out of greed. My parents called me crying with emotion and pride. The neighbor who had commented about the television came to apologize personally. But the biggest lesson from this entire experience wasn't about revenge or justice. It was about trust. I always trusted people too much. I always believed that everyone had good intentions. Mark taught me that not everyone is worthy of that trust. However, I also learned something more important. When you know you're right, when you're certain of your truth, don't give up. Fight, investigate, prove. Today, 3 months later, I'm in my new office, with a view of downtown Dallas. I have a team of 5 people under my supervision. My bank account is healthy. My reputation, restored. Sometimes Mark sends me letters from prison asking for forgiveness. I don't respond. Forgiving is one thing. Forgetting is another. Knowing that he thought he could use me as a scapegoat, that he could destroy my life to save his own, still revolts me, but it also strengthens me, because in the end, the truth really always comes out, and when it appears, it illuminates not only the guilty, but also the innocent. Being wrongly accused was the worst pain of my life. The humiliation, the distrust, seeing people I considered friends turn their backs on me. It was devastating. But proving my innocence was my greatest victory. Not just because it cleared my name, but because it showed me what I am capable of when I need to fight for what's right. Today I learned, those who play dirty might win for a while, but sooner or later, the truth always comes out. And when it appears, it doesn't just reveal the facts. It reveals people's character. The character of those who accuse you without solid evidence. The character of those who judge you without knowing the whole story. And especially, the character of those who are willing to destroy innocent lives to protect their own dirty secrets. Mark Stevens learned this the hard way, and I learned that sometimes the best revenge isn't destroying those who hurt you. It's getting up, proving your innocence, and building an even better life. My desk now has a golden nameplate. Emily Carter, Administrative Manager. Every time I look at it, I remember that this victory wasn't given. It was earned. With sweat, tears, courage, and a lot of determination to make the truth prevail. And if you're going through a similar injustice, if you're being accused of something you didn't do, if your reputation is being destroyed by lies, don't give up. The truth might take time, but it always comes out. And when it does, make sure everyone knows. Make sure your victory is as public as your humiliation was. Because that's how you do justice. That's how you earn respect. And that's how you turn this page once and for all. For more exciting videos, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like, comment, and share. If you want powerful narratives, strong emotions, and the sweet taste of justice, this is your place.